It is Monday. RawMikeRichards.com broadcasting live from the DKI studios in downtown Toronto out of the Pacific Junction Hotel. Coming up today, controversy in the NFL. Were the calls bad or did the rules suck? I suggest it's the latter. Also, we're going to talk a little what are we calling it? Toys for Tots? The treats for toys. It's Rice Krispies. We've had some of their people on beforehand. At this time of year, we want to make sure that we get the message out, and they've been real good to us. We want to be good to them. And if you got kids, well, maybe there's a way you can help out. We'll talk about that today. Michelle Jobin going to join us. Jobin, not Jobin. Raptors seem to be having it their own way lately. Bowl season has started south of the border. That's always good news. Eugene Melnick, maybe not as popular as... Okay, just not popular. Or was he ever popular? Once again, the old, maybe we'll go somewhere else. I'm kind of getting sick of that, to be honest, in the NHL. But if you're one of these millionaires who has a fun toy to play with, usually a franchise, and you see what monies are available now, well, maybe just don't complain, maybe just sell. Do you want $650 million? Because I think that's the kind of monies that we'd be talking about.
Yep.
Do we need Eugene Melnick to be in our league?
Nope.
No. And there's your answer right there.
See you later, Genie.
So of all the things to talk about, boy, I'll tell you, that was one wild ride in the NFL, in the games, quite honestly, that we sort of talked about as being those that ones would watch. So, obviously, Aaron Rodgers coming back in Carolina was going to be a story. The New England-Pittsburgh game was being viewed as kind of Pittsburgh's Super Bowl, needing to win if they wanted home field advantage in trying to get to a Super Bowl, so it kind of was that. And then, I guess, Zeke Elliott, and I would say probably by maybe mistake what happened with the Oakland game, the Raiders game last night. And so all in all, there are times where I fight to find interest if I'm not gambling on something. I did not wager on the Pittsburgh game just because, Dave, I thought maybe I'll enjoy it more if I'm not crying, because I'll tell you what, if you had money on some of those games last night, you were pulling your hair out because it came down to either poor decisions, controversial officials' calls, or maybe, just the randomness sometimes of when things happen. Now, that is gambling. I look at the streak that I had yesterday and look at the New Orleans Saints and go, were you drunk? Do you feel sorry for the Jets? Not that the Jets can't play defense, by the way. The Jets, probably, Dave, when you take a look at it, you give them, what do you need? You need a real quarterback.
Yep.
Couple
more receivers.
And your D's kind of there.
The defense is there, yep.
So that's not, necessarily a wall. I'm sick and tired of actually looking at teams like Buffalo. So now they're actually, 8-6? We're talking playoffs. The Chiefs, who have trended well, maybe doesn't surprise me because they just went through a horrific slide. But sometimes I get talking about teams like the Chiefs. The Jags do what they did, but let's get probably to the what is the real controversy, and I don't know if we'll have pictures of this or be able to have it, but certainly the Jesse James no catch in the Pittsburgh game.
Bingo.
So Dave, I'm watching that game live, and it's crazy. It's Tom Terrific coming back, doing what he does, but it's also the Steelers. Even though losing Antonio Brown was just, that's disastrous.
Massive.
Best
receiver in the league, Mike.
And gone. Now, they're saying he's back for the postseason. But
we'll see about that.
The Jesse James no catch. And this is something that we've talked about, and I certainly went on my rant probably, 3 weeks ago, whenever that was. There's a difference between a bad call and a bad rule. I think what we're seeing right now, because of the minutia and trying to capture everything on the 1080p high-def super slow-mo, is ruining the game of football. This does nothing to change my mind. The effort that it took to get in, make that play for Jesse James, get in the end zone, and then everyone starts going into the super zoom, did the ball move? Now, by the letter of the law, so the rule that exists right now, and it's like, what, 84A or 84.8 or whatever it's called, about, maintaining the ball and going through the full process of the catch, it was deemed an incomplete pass. By their rule and that definition, by the letter of the law, the call was right. The call was right, but the rule is wrong. It's part of what ruins and has ruined football. I mean, if we're looking at this several years ago, I mean, why would we even think that he didn't catch the ball? If anything, people might have said, well, if his knee was down, but see, he wasn't touched.
Correct.
He wasn't touched. So the issues that I think that we're facing with this, Dave, and if you're the competition committee in the NFL, and we'll just start with this one. This is rule number one. If we're starting with that, then to me, good call, horrific rule.
That rule, that one single rule, has probably cost at least 6 to 7 touchdowns this year. From significant games like what we just saw last night to meaningless games where the Jets, Safarian Jenkins caught a touchdown that probably would have given the Jets a victory over the Patriots. Speaking of Jets and Patriots and who should be there, who shouldn't be there. I remember even a couple seasons ago, Calvin Johnson catching a nice one. Des Bryant
is famous
against the Packers. It's a garbage rule, and their championship committee, their rules committee, whatever they want to call it, they have to do something about this. Like I was okay with what happened yesterday because I was on the Patriots -2.5.
Well,
So
this is where arguments change. The moment you put betting in there, you're going, oh, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, but if I'm sitting there as an impartial watcher,
which I was, because I had no action, I had no skin in this game.
Somebody that loves football like I do, somebody that understands the game, played the game, coached the game, everything about it. When you're watching the game, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
So something has to be done. Something has to be done, and I don't understand why we're sitting here in 2017 still having these sort of situations, and then on the following Monday going, oh, this team was screwed, this team was screwed, they missed this, they missed that. I don't know. I think this game is over replayed, just like our society is overreactive to certain things and over hypersensitive towards things, and this almost fits right into the mold. So congratulations, NFL, you're part of what's turning into a junk society right now.
Be careful what you wish for. And this whole thing where people argue, yeah, but you want to get it right. To what nth degree? Because sports has, the thing that's intriguing about it is it's supposed to have its level of the human element. That's why guys make mistakes. That's why, when someone's already called, Chris Webber calls a timeout, you don't have a timeout. Like, people make mistakes. It's what makes the intangible part of sport engaging. But when we're trying to literally mimic the video games, Dave, that we play, that's the problem. We're not robots. We're not perfect. And that is part of, if that replay was, and say they show the replay a couple of times, they go and they kick the extra point, would anyone have said anything? I think they wouldn't. Because here's the reason that I know that. Because the two defenders that were standing right over top of that, of Jesse James when he goes in the end zone, did you see them protest? Did you see them putting their hands over their head? Did you see them yelling at the referees?
They thought it was a touchdown too.
Because the way that you play sport, that was a touchdown. If that's in any other world, we know what an acceptable play is. But this whole progression, following through, they've got to change it, which leads us to the next horrible decision, which is the fumble hits the pylon, and that's a touchback, and the ball goes to the defensive team as you're going into the end zone. How does that make any sense where the offensive team is going in literally to score, but because it hits the pylon, you give it to the other team even though they didn't even recover a fumble, Dave?
I know.
You lose the ball. That's way too big a penalty for two important an issue in a game that is sometimes by the inches. I mean, if you lose the ball out of control, blah blah blah. I mean, you put it back to the one, whatever you. But
or if the defensive team actually
recovers or gets the
hit it, recovered, anything to do with it. It had nothing to do with the Derek Carr fumble into the end zone. And well, we're talking about gambling once in a while. That cost me my ticket.
See, you win one, you lose the other, Dave.
Because I had a lot of highs and lows.
Maybe you do
yesterday.
too much gambling.
Maybe
I don't know if gambling's good.
Because I was enjoying the Rams beatdown of the Seahawks. I was loving that. I couldn't get enough of that.
That was delicious. Delicious.
And then if you missed it, do yourself a favor. Watch the final 2 minutes of the Titans 49ers game, and you know what? Jimmy Garoppolo is quickly turning into one of my favorite quarterbacks.
I jumped on that train
in the world.
Yeah.
Like honestly, the guy is smooth as silk, and he will be the best quarterback in the league within the next couple of years if they surround him by any sort of talent. San Francisco will have another quarterback god like they have in the past if they surround the guy with talent. I was on the 49ers.
Yeah, you were on the 49ers before people were on the 49ers.
Yes.
Then after last games, and I saw that number coming up, I'm like, I gotta try it.
Yeah.
JG.
Yeah.
I got to do it.
And guess what? I'm giving you a sneak peek. Jacksonville travels to San Francisco next weekend. Take the 49ers and the points. Take the points and the 49ers.
Now,
it will be a letdown game for Jacksonville.
Here's the thing. Here's exactly why. You get into these last couple of weeks, especially the last week, but last couple of weeks, some teams need the games. Some teams don't. And you hope, and we hope we can trick the lines makers, Phil Gray.
Yeah, especially him.
Yeah, especially you. That they give like kind of too many points to one team that doesn't need. I mean, that's what you're going to be looking for. I mean, I think almost the most gigantic payday I ever had in my life occurred on the last game of the season. It also was the most upsetting moment of my entire life. This is back in the old. I'd played the OLG, the Sports Select, the Pro Line, but the point spread.
Yes. On
one ticket, you know how I bet. This is against the spread. On one ticket, I had 11 game picks, and the other was 12. It was the Jets at home to Kansas City, and it was a slushy crap game, horrible, and I had old G numbers right, -6.5.
Yeah,
-6.5. They are winning by a touchdown with minute and a half to go, so they can't give up a garbage touchdown.
Nope,
they can't because they're going to lose. They let them drive all the way down the field.
Oh, good God!
So I went 10 out of 11. Ugh. That ticket was worth $70,000. But you get money for 10 out of 11, just like you do for 10 out of 12. So the next one was I go, well, if I go 11 to 12, that's even more money. And this is the NFL. It was Vince Young was a Tennessee quarterback, and I needed them to win by. They were winning by when they need to win by like 2.5 points, and they get the ball back. That same day, he takes 4 consecutive knees in front of the goalposts.
Oh my God.
In the CFL, they're kicking a field goal.
Yes.
I'm just telling you, the CFL, they kick a field goal.
Yeah.
And I watched, so I got 10 out of 11 on that one and 10 out of 12. I ended up getting like $7,000 or something like that.
Right.
But when you figured that one was worth like whatever 12 out of 12, was it $100,000? It was like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh my goodness.
And was it Drew? No, who played the quarterback that year for Kansas City? Because it wasn't Rosenfels, was it?
In those days, yeah. It's hard to say.
It was because I heard they go, "What the fuck's this guy? Who is he?" And I'm like, you can't play prevent on when you're up by a touchdown. You can't play prevent, because a touchdown's going to beat you. That's what they did. So there's gambling. Maybe we've all learned a lesson here.
Yeah. No, we haven't.
No, we're going to gamble. You're watching Raw Mike Richards either on the .com, or we appreciate everyone who has joined us on the dedicated YouTube channel. If you haven't yet, click that subscribe button right below. It's right there. Also, we should probably get some of the pictures up too, Rusty. Maybe you don't have them, but the Blade Tape folks. A lot of people have been putting them on, whether it's Instagram. I've seen some on Twitter, on Facebook. If you've received these, if you've got them, and I think out of our database, I think Ted the Viking was saying we're sort of Like 41% of the people did it.
Okay, that's
Which
good.
It isn't bad.
Nope.
It is free and shipping. Some people didn't quite understand how it worked. Some people unsubscribed when they were asked if they want a free gift from this show. Okay, that I don't understand. And if you did, let us know why you did, because I think sometimes it's a bit of a mistake. Like, I don't think they meant to do it, but it happened. So now you're unsubscribed, so you can't win anyway. So, but we appreciate those who did it to make it a merry, holly jolly Christmas. And of course,
good.
It is coming up. This is our last week. We've got 4 days. We'll be off on the Thursday. I can tell you on the Wednesday.
We're off on the Thursday or off on the Friday?
Oh, sorry. So we go to Thursday. We're off on Friday. Yeah.
Okay.
So Wednesday, I know that our good friend John Gallagher, who's just written a book, will come in and
yes.
destroy the studio with his enthusiasm.
That's true.
It is 10:30. So, John, just try to clean it up a little bit.
Yep.
Do the best you can. Get yourself out of that dumpster and come on the show.
Hey.
That's what we're saying. Who else do we have this week? Do we have it nailed down yet?
Well, we have Michelle Jobin today coming up in a couple minutes here, where we're trying to channel a time slot for Clark Judge tomorrow. Gallagher's in on Wednesday, and we have a special treat on Thursday. Not only do we get old Stephen Rapp, who went 1-5 this weekend, but we also get Phil Gray, the sneaky, filthy Phil Gray.
Yeah. I see some of those numbers, Phil. We're going to have a little conversation about that, too. Also, I
Same show, both guys.
I threw out a message to our good friend Mark Zecchino.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah.
Okay, I saw that. Yes.
Yeah. He knows that insult that I called him in Italian. He doesn't know what it means. I know you don't know. How can your name be Zecchino when you don't know what I called you? I called you a morte de fame. That means, like, literally starve yourself to death. It's like it's a derogatory term. I know you don't know. I know you didn't know what it meant. He's like, "Hey, Fratello will come on for sure." Yeah, okay. Yeah, let's work him in.
And he probably doesn't pronounce Fratello like that. He probably English.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's coming in.
Fratellos?
Yeah, because guess what? Real golf starts when? End of January?
Yeah, Hawaii.
Yeah, Hawaii. Oh, my God, that'd be good to have that life, wouldn't it?
Not
and
bad,
just think about Tiger when you have 27 girlfriends at the same time. I'm sorry.
It's true.
He's a bit of a legend. I know people, how can you say that? Because he is. That's why. Yeah, he had a Swedish twin. I mean, what else do you want?
Hey, did you hear about the PGA will no longer be accepting phone calls from the general public and emails from the general public on rule violations?
Oh,
they've nixed it. They've nixed it.
I'm playing Christmas music for that because
Finally.
that is a gift. Because the goddamn golf nerds going, according to the Royal and Ancient, Rule 27, that kind of crap.
Yeah.
The ball actually moved. I'm calling. Who does that?
It's pathetic that they even had that in the rule book, where actual callers could phone in and say, 17th hole, he touched it with the side of his heel. To watch that violation, and then they go replay it and blah blah blah. So
it's just like if in that Jesse James catch in Pittsburgh, someone phoned in and said, "Oh, by the way, I saw the ball move."
Yeah,
you did.
You did.
Oh, upon further review,
yeah.
Steve from Pawtucket said, you know what I mean? That's crazy.
No,
it probably would have been from Pawtucket too if that phone call came. It probably did come from Massachusetts. You would think. By the way, can we just say? Even I know there's a lot of jealousy and a lot of people want to hate it. Tom Brady is GOAT.
Yeah, he is.
Like, it's crazy. Those comebacks.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I put a little. By the way, a little poll. Some of you jumped in because it was the last drive. You only had a couple of minutes,
Yep.
and about 40, 50 people in that short period of time. And it was only at that time about 60-40 that said yes, he would do it. There was no doubt in my mind he was getting in there because he was pissed.
Yep.
So when he truly is remarkable.
Yeah, and one day in the future, we're going to be throwing those polls out about Jimmy Garoppolo. So stay tuned for
you're
that.
really big on this.
2019, 2020.
No, Garoppolo's not Greek or anything. There's no or Slovenian. His last name's not Kopitar. So
you know what? I'm so disappointed that he's not a Jets quarterback because there was that rumor, but Bill Belichick wouldn't trade him within the division. And then there was
rightfully so.
Yeah, and he's somewhat smart coach. He might be the best coach in the history of sport, but that's hearsay right now. And there was also talk that he could have been a Cleveland Brown, which would have shattered his Hall of Fame career.
Well, you can't go to Cleveland.
No.
And there was a game I thought, you know what, maybe Cleveland covers this one. Because you can't really.
I had Cleveland on one of my tickets, 7.5 points, and it was laughable that I even considered that, but I did. I'm just saying.
They like, how do you keep them together? Now, I realize I'm not huge on change. For those of you who've listened or watched the show for years, I always think when people say change them up, it's the worst thing that you can do to completely keep changing your offensive coordinator, changing your coaches. I mean, you've got to start somewhere. You've got to have a belief. How do you believe in something that in 2 years? So if they go 0-16, so they're 1 for 32 in 2 years.
Yep. Chicago this weekend too. In Chicago.
No, they're losing.
They should lose that game.
They're gonna lose.
But you're not exactly playing. A Mike Ditka Chicago Bears team.
No, but guess what? Mitchell Trubisky. I think the guy can play.
Not bad, eh?
I think he can play, and he doesn't. It's not like he's got a wealth of options either, Dave.
Yep. So he turns. So what happens is they go to Chicago, and then finally they end the season. This is a great way to end it. They end the season in Pittsburgh against the Steelers, where they will lose by 87 points.
Now, the Steelers, if they don't need the game, what happens?
Yeah, great question.
Because, see, that's the thing is, like, how many points are you going to give these guys?
Landry Jones probably starts at quarterback. They probably rest a lot of players, including, a running back that is probably best be saved for the NFL's postseason. A wide receiver that hopefully should be able to come back for the postseason as well, but we'll see. Before we get to Michelle, too, Connor Hellerbuck, the Vezina Trophy winner this year, shut out the Blues yesterday 4-0. Big win for the Jets.
Boy, I didn't see that one. I didn't see that one coming either. The Jimmy Garoppolo, Hellerbuck. I mean,
I'm just saying.
Okay, I got to get rid of this music before she comes on.
Okay.
Christmas music.
This is a TV host, writer, and fitness professional, Michelle Jobin.
Hello.
Is Michelle Jobin there, please?
This is Michelle.
You are live on rawmikeRichards.com. Thanks so much for joining us here this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on the show.
I know it's like a surprise party when we do this because people are like, you mean live now? Are we on now? Are we like now? Yeah.
Right away? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you want to say something bad about your mom or she didn't get you the right Christmas present or
Never.
Yeah, of course.
Never.
No.
Absolutely not.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here, Michelle. The Treats for Toys program. And basically I think it's interesting because I come from a family of educators and my wife is a teacher. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes I see what, in particular, what you have done in terms of, like Rice Krispies and doing things for kids that matter. We know about nutrition. We know all about a lot of things. And I think to, just take more than just selling cereal to kids, I think to give back is really important. It seems like, for Rice Krispies, this is something that is very close to them and not new.
No, not at all. It's the 5th year of the program, of the Treats for Toys program. And, a lot of money has been raised for giving toys to children that may not have them that holiday season in the last 5 years, more than $130,000 up till this year so far. And we're hoping, of course, to add quite a lot to that. And, it's just a wonderful opportunity. You brought up education to also teach children about giving back this holiday season. It's a wonderful family experience to share the, creating a little magic with your family and having a little holiday project, but also teaching them that they can give back to others. And it's never too early to start that idea.
Well, Michelle, you're also a nutrition, a fitness expert. Have we not learned about breakfast in our children? Do we still make the same mistakes that historically we've always made about it being the most important, part of the day? It's the fuel that sort of keeps the kids involved all day long and in school and keeps their energy up. Have we still not learned that lesson?
Well, I mean, I know I've had to learn that lesson because if I don't have breakfast, I'm hangry and I'm not focused. And children are absolutely the same. And sometimes it's hard to get children to kind of, sit down and want to eat first thing in the morning. But it's the most essential food that they have to get them going for a successful day. So absolutely, I think across the board we really should be focusing on the nutrition that our children have to start the day.
Michelle, good to talk to you. There's a website out there that everybody listening to us today and will be able to catch on our replay, treatsfortoys.ca.
Yeah.
Can you actually break down exactly how the program works and what is involved with it?
It's super easy, as easy as make, share, give, the whole Treats for Toys program. And as you mentioned, treatsfortoys.ca is the website. And you can visit there for recipes, inspiration, there's videos, and a photo gallery of other people's creations. So this is basically how the program works. You build a toy-shaped treat of your choosing out of Rice Krispies. So the first part is you've got to make delicious Rice Krispies treats, and it's great to have a little treat this time of year, let's face it, or any time of year. So the fun thing is that the kids can get involved. There's no baking. Of course, you want to make sure that when you're working with the Rice Krispies mixture to make the treats, you just make sure that you're implementing some safety measures, of course, because it can be hot. So parent supervision. You assemble a toy-shaped treat, and I can tell you a little bit more about what I did. You snap a picture of it, you upload it to treatsfortoys.ca, or you can share it on social media with the hashtag treatsfortoys. And when you do that, it transforms that magically into a real toy for a child in need. So $20 for every upload or every share on social with the hashtag is donated to the Salvation Army to buy a toy for a child that might not have one this year.
Well, you can't go wrong with the Salvation Army. I look at what those
No.
people really do for a living, and what they do is they live their life for others. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. They've done so many wonderful programs over the years. I've seen them also involved with Mark's Work Warehouse, where they provide clothing for people who want to work. You know, it's taking that extra step, and I think that's what you've done here with this program. So, so for people on social media today, if we want to get this across as simply as possible, what do they do? Is it Twitter we're talking specifically?
Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or Pinterest. If you've got all four, you can do all four if you want. I shared mine on Instagram and on Twitter and on Facebook. So I took a photo of the toy that, and I also uploaded them to the website as well. The toy that I made with my son. Actually, we did two, and that's as easy as it was. And magically, the money, of course, gets donated from Kellogg's Rice Krispies to the Salvation Army.
Yeah, there's
up to a maximum, I believe, of $30,000.
Yeah, and when you check out the site, there's a lot of great ideas, and you know what? Not only you just talk about the emphasis of the giving part of it, but you're spending time with, in my case, my two daughters, and in other cases, sons, daughters, whatever. Just a nice family activity as well, and for a very good cause. And there's a lot of creative ideas on the site. I'm actually quite impressed with I never thought about because traditionally, Michelle, Mom would make the Rice Krispies. We cut them up in squares, and they'd be gone in about 5 seconds. But now you can actually make something kind of cool. There's the eating factor after it, but there's also the giving factor as well, which is really a really neat combo.
It is, and my husband helped us make the toys. All three of us, so it's myself, my husband, and my 2.5-year-old son. We picked things that we thought my son would like. We picked toys. We did a helicopter, and we did a dog because he is really infatuated with the idea of having a puppy right now. We're not quite ready for that, but we made him a toy Rice Krispies street dog for now, so that's good. And the extra challenge this year for the 5th year of Treats for Toys is to make toys that have a moving part. You don't absolutely have to have the program work, but it's a little way to sort of up your creative game. And it was so fun making these things together. Like I said, the whole family was involved. My son loves any sort of creative activity like arts and crafts and building things. So it was really nice for us to all to sit down together and spend the afternoon doing this, because how often in our busy lives do we really get to sit down and do things like that with our kids? So I think it's a great little moment to have this last stretch towards Christmas and for the holidays.
Well, Michelle, thanks so much for joining us and talking about the program here today, which is ironic coming from a host who, I'll be honest, I think at times for breakfast I've had rye and a chocolate bar. So this is...
You know what? But at least you had breakfast. So there you go.
Thanks so much, Michelle. You have yourself a great Christmas, and thanks for joining us here this morning. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Michelle.
Happy holidays to you both as well. Thank you.
That is Michelle Jobin joining us here today. Treats for Toys.
Yes. Treatsfortoys.ca. Check it out. Pretty significant donation, too, when you think of it, because you upload, for example, she used the example of a helicopter. You make the toy you make the Rice Krispie treat into a helicopter, take the picture, send it in, use the hashtag, and that instantly becomes a $20 toy for a girl, a boy that is really, for the most part, not expecting something that special in the Christmas time. And hey, it is that time of season for this sort of thing, and this is a fantastic promotion with Rice Krispies.
You could make a lot of things with Rice Krispies. Rosby, if you could find a picture of Chasey Lane, I think what I would do is I would make a nice Rice Krispie replica of my favorite porn star, Chasey Lane.
Okay, this is a different angle.
It is different. I think the kids could learn certain things from it about scale. I think is good. The workability, and I think that you need to have a subject that's just take a good one, not one of the creepy ones where she's on crack, but maybe one of the earlier ones before she started selling herself in Las Vegas at a cheap bunny ranch. Maybe some of do you know what a girl is? Are you still searching? Are you getting don't get too excited, Russell. That's not good. Can you find an attractive? Do you know what I'm saying? Is this are you an English speaking person? Is I'm killing time that you could maybe find a nice picture?
I think you're out
of
of luck,
this
Mike.
girl. Can you? But don't take a creepy, gross one. I think go put that on. Does that look nice?
It's hard to find one that isn't.
Well, I can find them. Put that on there. Is this a reasonable one? As the fire's going to die out here in the Christmas song. Put that one up. There you go. This is what I'm making. This is what is good to me. Can you see that?
Yeah, we can see that.
Yeah, look at that.
Russell got that up quite fast.
If that doesn't say,
and I'm being sarcastic,
Merry Christmas, or maybe just ho, it's that. Go ahead, kids. What part do you want to eat first? No, I wouldn't suggest that one.
So there you have it.
There you can do that.
Treats for Toys. Use that hashtag.
By the way, let's change the music here. Let's get how about more drama for the drama we saw yesterday in the National Football League. Cincinnati.
Thanks for coming.
And by the way, we'll do the RCCN last call because I think there's a lot of you can choose whatever you want first day, but there's a lot of last calls for a lot of people, a lot of coaches, maybe even a couple of leagues. Cincinnati. So Marvin Lewis, I think, has already said, this is my last year.
And it's weird because I thought his last year was like 3 years ago. So it's been the longevity of the last year has gone on for 4 consecutive years.
Sometimes like when an actor dies and you go, holy shit, he's still alive?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Marvin Lewis, still the head coach. Although the team really hasn't shown up at all in Minnesota. I don't even know if they played the Vikings yesterday.
Do you like the fact that Minnesota is going to be...
I love the fact that Minnesota's...
is where they are, because I do too.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's almost like if you've been to Minneapolis, which you have, but I'm just talking to the general public, it's a Canadian style of American city.
Yeah, it is.
And
that's why it's Canada.
Yeah, and it's really hard not to like them. It's fantastic that they're getting this maximum effort from this relegated quarterback that nobody basically wanted, and he's turned into a star for all intents purposes of this conversation. I think the Minnesota Vikings are good enough to go to the Super Bowl. I think the defense is good enough to win the Super Bowl, but I just don't know if they have the right guns to outgun Tom Brady, which I'm fully expecting to be there, because I don't think, especially after yesterday's game, I don't think the New England Patriots lose another game this football season.
How many games do you need now, or are you done?
Oh, I need one more for my ticket.
Yeah.
But I think they have fun with Buffalo next week.
It's in New England. It's in New England.
Yeah, and the final week they play the Jets. So they'll probably win out, and then you head to the postseason.
Because Bill Belichick will not lose to the Jets. No. There's some coaches that they may or not put stuff out there. Belichick's not one of those guys.
And guess what? Tom Brady will play in that game too. So if you're looking for daily fantasy on DraftKings, Tom Brady is still playing against the Bills and the New York Jets to end this 2017 regular season.
Nick Foles
Look good. Look really good. Hey, defense, wake up. Wake up, because you actually have a decent quarterback that's backing up a very good quarterback who is injured. Nick Foles looked really good. No rust at all. I am cautiously optimistic that the Eagles could still make some noise in the postseason. And
I hope they do.
I thought they were dead too. I thought because of this quarterback change and not because they wanted to, but because of injury, I thought the Eagles may have been But man, you have to be able to stop the New York Giants when it really doesn't matter to them anymore. So I was kind of disappointed, but Nick Foles, definitely one of the stars of yesterday's Sunday ticket.
Not stars in my world. I could have cared less about that Redskin game, to
Yeah.
be honest. Redskins Cardinals.
Yeah.
I had no interest. I did watch the Panthers Packers. Here's a question. And look, there were times where you could see some rust with those throws, but still, there's the difference. Aaron Rodgers comes out; it's a completely different team. They're actually competitive in that game.
100%, yep.
And it wasn't for a call. There's another call at the end of the game where another ball's punched loose. We had a couple of picks. Do you even bother playing him for the last two games where, I guess depending on what happens with Atlanta, I don't see them losing to Tampa Bay, quite frankly.
No, either do I.
But let's say there is, if they lose, but if they win, that is Atlanta. Do you play him the last two games? I'll tell you what, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
He's going to want to, though, eh?
He's going to want to, but I'd rather. Why would I change two games of a team that's not going to the playoffs?
And he's not 100%. And interesting enough, and here's something that may factor into that conversation: the Vikings actually travel to Green Bay next weekend, and that's the team that injured Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I'm not playing. I don't know, man. It's
Just saying.
If we're looking at percentages, because look, the reason that word was so big is people are pounding on the Steelers for trying to make that fake spike throw to the end zone.
Yep.
Not just take your three, which was going to happen, and you're going into OT.
Overtime. Yep.
So percentage-wise, is it smart to play Aaron Rodgers? It probably is not the smarter of the moves, but as you said, he's probably going to want to play, and how that organization works, he may get what he wants.
I would not want to play him against a Minnesota Vikings defense.
No.
I would. I'm just saying. I think that's big time dangerous, and I know you have the off season to recover, but if he keeps on getting collarbone injury, I'm not saying that he's had a lot of them, because he hasn't, but remember our good friend Tony Romo, who constantly kept on injuring his shoulder, and then all of a sudden even smaller tackles would injure the shoulder, and eventually it wears down. It doesn't. You're never the same after an injury. So I would completely stay away and just say something that there's maintenance on it. There's 2 weeks left of the season. It's let Brett Hundley guide out the season. I mean, if you're the Packers, you hope they lose both games just to improve their draft stock, but I don't think they're thinking like that. But they're out of the postseason. They're not doing anything. It's not worth it.
The Rams. What
awesome.
a first half.
Are awesome.
34 Cobb.
Not bad, eh? Todd Gurley, 4 touchdowns.
It was nice to see, because I think this team is for real. I'm sick and tired of Seattle. It's just annoying. Their fans are annoying. They started leaving in the third quarter. Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah. 42-7 was your final. The Rams are for real. And I like when teams emphatically say, we think we're better, we're going to kick the shit out of you.
Yeah.
This is what I enjoy. That's what they did. See, the Patriots sometimes don't do that.
No.
They will take a team and toy around and do stupid stuff. I like teams that go and say, we're better, we're going to blow you up. Minnesota, same thing. Glad to see it. Looking at the Titans and 49ers, we talked about that big comeback.
Awesome.
The future, would you say the greatest quarterback of all time? Is that what's
Yeah,
happening?
one of them anyway. He's on the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks.
That is a huge statement
of the universe.
We talked about the Cowboys.
Right beside Dieter Brock.
Really?
Yeah,
I like Dieter Brock too.
Time, yeah.
Do you like the fact that Zeke Elliott played in the game? Does this make sense?
He didn't play in the game.
Or in coming back when Zeke comes back.
Yes.
Do you think any of this makes sense?
Well, the Cowboys are still in a position where they actually can do something as a wild card, but you know what? They lucked out the win against the Raiders. Good for them.
They say he's still in good shape. He's been working out.
Yeah, they showed some pictures during the game, actually, of him working out in one of these resorts in Mexico or the Dominican or something like that. So we'll see. He's going to be fresh. their offense isn't the same without him, because if their offense is on the field against the Raiders defense and how they picked apart the Raiders defense, even though they only beat them by 3 points, Zeke Elliott may have rushed for 150 yards yesterday. So, and we're entering the season, Mike, where running matters. The running back position matters.
Hugely.
Elliott isn't injured. It's not like he's sitting there nursing an injury. He's nursing a suspension. So I would say, yeah, you get him in there and you give him the ball 30 times a game, and you see if you could pound the crap out of teams, for the last couple weeks of the season. See if you could sneak your way in there. They have a pretty good matchup against Seattle next week, because Seattle's slumping, and Seattle actually travels to Dallas, which isn't the easiest place to play. And then the Dallas Cowboys head to Philadelphia on the final weekend. Now, there could be a must-win situation for Philadelphia for a bye. We'll see, but perhaps if it isn't the case, then the Eagles may actually sit some players. So, is it feasible that Dallas wins out? Yeah, I think it is, and I think he goes Zeke Elliott heavy at this time of year.
Let's maybe we'll bring in some Christmas music for this, depending on how you feel about this next story.
Okay.
It is the Christmas week. When I hear this music, I think of Senators owner Eugene Melnick.
Yeah, it's very Christmassy. I agree.
So now he's floated out sort of the idea that he may want to relocate his franchise. It could look good, as he said, somewhere else if market conditions don't improve. What did you make over that, especially if you're a Sens fan? Although, if you're a Leaf fan, you can go to Ottawa and
buy a front row ticket.
Yes.
10 minutes before the game.
Does he have any legitimate right to say what he did?
He has a right to say whatever he wants as an owner of a franchise, but there's something that you'd think a multimillionaire businessman would understand that a common student in Ryerson would understand. There's a time and a place for everything to be said and everything not to be said. The time not to say that you're interested in moving a small market Canadian franchise at a home game when the NHL is celebrating its 100th anniversary of its existence, and all the national networks are zeroed in on this spectacular outdoor game, and they build 2 different rinks in that city that obviously loves hockey, loves the outdoors, loves everything about it. Whether you like Ottawa or not, that's not the case. That's not the point I'm making here, but you don't address that during the weekend of a century. Just like if you go to, another tip for Eugene Melnick, if you go to somebody's wedding, you don't propose to your girlfriend at somebody else's wedding, and you don't file for divorce at somebody's wedding. You don't take the.
God, I'd love to see that though. Do you take this man? That'd be great.
Yeah, well.
Have you seen that? I've never seen that.
Hang around with Gene Melnick, and you may see, and it's funny because it's like, yeah, we understand they're struggling, but before you make this announcement, find the right time to do it. Don't do it in a weekend that's supposed to be so much celebration and so forth, and kind of slap the fans in the face with this garbage. It's kind of disappointing that this is where he chose to. The message, however, is quite understandable. Maybe that message should have been called this week, maybe Wednesday, Thursday, maybe in the new year, because you don't really need to do it around this time. Just like Mike, and here's an example that kind of rings true with us. Maybe in the month leading into a holiday season, the biggest holiday season of every single year, major corporate businesses shouldn't fire employees. It's just there's time and places for certain things to happen, and I understand that they want to make decisions, but there's better times to do it than certain times.
It always amazes me about timing that people just can't see. I'll say this: as much as I love collegiate sports, and you do, I love them.
Yep.
But this idea of coaching these kids at these programs, and then the only time you can make a jump is between the end of the college season and then bowl season. So if you want to go to another school,
bingo.
I've been here for 25 years, so or who knows how long. But let's just say you've grown up with this guy's or not growing up. You've been with the program. You had a great season, and then I say, by the way, on your biggest moment of your life, and for a lot of those pro players or guys that are going to go pro, people think that that's a given when you play college. It's still less than 3%. So you might only have, you may not have any players. This is the biggest moment of their life to be in the GoDaddy Bowl. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. But you have guys who have to make these decisions, and they make it that way. The coaches, I don't think, truly want to walk out. Remember when Brian Kelly left Cincinnati and he went to Notre Dame?
Yes.
That was Zach Collaros. That was his year.
Okay.
And so you're sitting there, and you've grown up, or not grown up, but you. Some of these guys are mentors. They are almost a father figure to some of these guys. On the literally the eve of your biggest moment in your life, they have to walk and go somewhere else. I hate that. How can the NCAA think that's a good thing to do? Can't you wait or make it viable after the bowl seasons, after they crown usually Alabama number 1, or Clemson, or whoever it's going to be? Then you make that move. I'm appalled by it. I think it's disgusting.
Yeah, I agree with you. Time and place, and there's certain things that just make no sense, and that's another one to add to the fireplace.
Yeah, listen to that. Are you ready for Christmas? By the way, have people done their shopping? Have you decorated the house appropriately? Look, most people have decorated like way too early.
Yeah,
like the day after Halloween. It weirds me out. Don't do that. Don't do that. Scary skull zombie flesh-eating people. Next day, boom, birth of Christ.
That's right.
Do you see what I'm saying? It's just it's not the look I don't think they want.
Timing. Another example of timing, Mike.
Here's some timing. Phil Jackson. So they're gonna retire both of Kobe's numbers. Isn't that weird? Welcome to this universe of sport. 8 and 24 will be retired. Phil Jackson's not going to be there.
Oh, busy. He's on his
Phil,
ranch.
I know he's weird, or he's
blowing
something
weed
to do with the universe or whatever's going on in his world, but he's not going to be there.
So the guy,
he's unable to attend.
That's funny.
That's terrible. Like there's another. What do you think you're doing?
There's a guy that doesn't get. Guess what, Phil?
8 and 24.
Sorry,
you wouldn't be half the coach you are today without 2 significant players, and Kobe was one of them. So, I mean, honestly, if he's not coaching Michael Jordan, he's not coaching Kobe, just look at what happened with the New York Knicks, and that's all you need to know about Phil Jackson.
Yeah, and if there's someone ill, there's an illness in the family or something critical, but seriously? But Phil, yeah, looking at the gift that the Knicks gave him, the millions upon millions of dollars to stay in your ranch, and what do you do? Like, email a criticism or fax in a play? It's a great gig. We should have thought of that before we did this.
Should have.
That also in the NBA. The other thing to keep in mind is that the Toronto Raptors actually have looked at pretty good. They take out Sacramento 108-93, and they've kind of strolled through here in the last, I would say, the last month. Their record, they are 9-1 in their last 10. They've won 3 in a row. You knew that Cleveland at some point was going to wake up, and they have. LeBron making the statement, 1 black shoe, 1 white shoe, and it says equality on both of them.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
No,
I don't hate it. I mean, it's it's
a message. It's the right message.
But after a while, I don't know. It drains me, I think, sometimes. Maybe it's just my disappointment that we still have to talk about this. Maybe that's what it is. How many more people have been accused of being inappropriate? Do you see the thing about the owner of the Carolina Panthers?
Now he's selling the team, too, in the offseason, eh?
Richardson.
Yep.
Some of the things that, sometimes you wonder, and as a guy, I'm thinking, oh, well, hopefully are one of these going to be made up or fake, or maybe there's an angry girl?
Yep. So far,
no, they're no, all guilty, 100%.
So angry people, 100. Owner / executive producer / producer, 0. That's the scoreboard right now, Mike.
So I go, what's inappropriate? Well, I would think probably if it was your wife or daughter and the owner asked if he could shave her legs. Shave their legs.
Really?
Or there was just a lot of really strange stuff here. The misconduct, as they call it.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to get there. He made advances to women and ask them to give him foot rubs. This is appropriate music for this. Hey, could you come in here and
he didn't think that
give me a foot rub?
He didn't maybe think that he could just paid $35 to go to a spa. And
If it was a female owner, would you do it?
would I?
Rubber feet?
What's in it for me?
Oh, see, I'm asking the wrong guy. All of a sudden, the dollar figure came up.
I'm just saying. You know,
I'll do it, but what are we looking at here?
yeah. Am I going to be like are you going to dress me as the third string quarterback on the Panthers?
No, but let's say
in uniform.
No, you don't get to be a player in this case. It's going to be administration. So you're you're in the management somewhere.
Yeah, I'm in.
See, this is why that argument doesn't work. That's why it doesn't work for guys.
I would love to be an assistant.
But what if she's
general
hit it? What if she's smart shot? I'm gonna come in here and rub my feet there, little Dave. It's okay if the fingers start walking.
That's very gross.
Yeah.
I know. That is extremely gross. But
You don't want to know where I'm hiding my Pall Malls.
Good old Marge.
Oh, Marge.
Yeah.
God, we miss you.
Yeah. We sure do.
She used to go into the press box, apparently, take her hands and scoop out mashed potatoes and eat them right out of her hand.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's great.
What's Chris Christopherson doing out there? You didn't see who's on the other side?
I didn't see that.
Oh, yeah. No, he's not happy.
He's not,
He's
eh?
good. We'll take a look at those numbers coming up on Thursday. As I said, unfortunately, it's tough. College basketball, which I do very well on. The only problem is, like, when we make these picks, unless I figure some way online.
Yeah.
Now, I did. I threw out a bunch that I liked. I liked the Oregon Boise State over. I'm trying to think of the other game that I liked, and a bunch of basketball games. I think one of them lost anyway, but we'll try to figure that one out as we go along. Is there anything else we want to touch upon? Because the big thing today, no doubt in discussion, is going to be about the NFL rules and how do you get them changed. I mean, that to me is number one, because I'm looking back at the Pittsburgh game, which people are mad about. It's not that the call was bad. The call was what the rule book is asking them to do. But what the rule book is asking them to do is ruining the game. And the touchback rule, that whole thing with David Carr, but it's not like it only happened once. Every time it happens, I stare at it. And you want to just pick up the phone to the NFL and say, you guys understand football though, right? I mean, the team's coming down. It's the offensive ball. No one has made a play on the defense. If anything, they've lost control of the ball. Therefore, whether it goes out of bounds, it goes to that marker where the knee was down, whatever that rule happens to be. But to take the ball away from the offensive team doesn't follow any of the logistics or logical progressions of the game itself. It just doesn't make any sense. Look, there are things that don't make sense in football. I remember the first time I saw, because it was in the NFL where it started, the first time I saw someone clock a ball. The first time I saw a spike of the ball, I was like, well, what are you doing? How's that not intentional grounding? Well, it's not, because I guess there's that obvious move, but they changed that rule to essentially have the ability to control the clock. But if you look at by the rules, still inside the tackle box, throws it at the feet of someone who's ineligible.
Bingo.
So look, we get that rule, and do we like it? I can live with it. I still don't love it. I still don't love it because technically, when you think about it, it is intentional grounding. But they're trying to circumvent the other rules they have. But then you have these other things where it's loss of down, the clock runoff, and all that kind of stuff.
Bingo. I hate the runoff clock.
I just think it's not. I just think some of these rules have to be. You're not getting rid of replay, and I wouldn't want them to get rid of replay.
Nope.
Replay here, it is viable and it's important. But if we're going to start, again, if you have to change it from what happens in the end zone or in the red zone, if you have to start doing stuff like that, then maybe that's what you do. But you cannot cost teams games, championships, by taking the ball away or, once again, getting into this super slow-mo 1080p cameras zooming in going, there it was there.
Yeah.
Because you're wrecking the game, and I don't think anybody wants to see a game called on the basis of a rule or a call day.
And more on that tomorrow with Clark Judge. Looks like he's going to join us. We're just confirming a time. But one of the best joining us tomorrow, and we've had some pretty good lengthy conversations about that. And I think we're going to add that tomorrow with what has happened here in week number 15.
I know people are still mad about their bets, so.
Let's become best friends.
Yep.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about that.
You want to go do karate in the garage? Yup. It's time!
Well, I'd like to thank Michelle Jobin. See, I still think, how many people saw that movie, I Love You, Man? Where he thinks he's being cool, tries to come up with a nickname on the spot, and calls him Jobin. I couldn't help but think about that. Once again, it's Treats for Toys. Hashtag that if you want on any social media. And trust me, it's a great thing by Rice Krispies, as always.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Tomorrow I'll talk to Clark Judge, and we'll see what the fallout is. Do you play Aaron Rodgers? Well, if Atlanta loses tonight, I guess you'd have to think about it. But I think, personally, it's probably over. And I'm going to say there's no way Atlanta loses, but
It is Atlanta.
it is Atlanta. So see you tomorrow.